Let's take a listen.
We expected to go to LeBron, but we expected Bosh to be a spacing option. If Roy were in the game, he probably would have been first or second option. If it didn't come to LeBron, or if LeBron could one bounce, draw Roy to the rim and have Bosh spotted up. So it's the dilemma that they present. Obviously with the way it worked out, would have been better to have Roy in the game, but you don't know. I mean, if that happens, maybe Bosh is making a jump shot. We're all talking about that.
And if you're faced with a similar situation, do you think he'll do it the same way next time?
I don't know. We'll have to evaluate and see what we're going to do next time, but I would say we'll probably have him in next time.
I would say. Stephen A., you agree with what Vogel said?
Listen, I understand where he's coming from, and I think the level of condemnation that has been thrown in his direction, I think it's a bit excessive. I understand the notion that you got a 7'2" center who's not the most mobile or agile dude in the world, and you're expecting and anticipating that a jump shot is what's going to kill you in Game 1 of this Eastern Conference Finals. I get the thinking. I just respectfully disagree. And I respectfully disagree because I believe that Roy Hibbert should have been in the game no matter what. He's just too big. He's too much of a deterrent to the Miami Heat, particularly in the post, to not have him in the game. If you want to indict Frank Vogel about anything, Skip, what it comes down to is that there's 2.2 seconds on the clock. How dare you assume that a jump shot was the only option? You should have known better. You're a coach for the number one basketball league in the world. You have to understand, you're supposed to be qualified to know this, to know that with 2.2 seconds left on the shot clock, somebody might have the time to get to the hole quick enough to close the deal on you. Clearly, Frank Vogel was anticipating that a jump shot was going to deliver the goods, which is why he pulled Roy Hibbert out of the game, because he's saying, well, I'm going to have him away from the basket anyway because they're going to use Bosh to pull him away from the basket, so why bother? I need quickness on the perimeter out there, as opposed to anticipating that, a layup may have ended up killing you. And he anticipated wrongly and foolhardily, and it cost him a Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the Eastern Conference period.
It just might have. Stephen A., I'll be a little tougher on Frank Vogel. You have to have Roy Hibbert in the game on each of the last two plays, the one with 11 seconds, the one with 2.2 seconds left. Because the Miami Heat have LeBron James, and you don't, because the Heat have the greatest basket attacker in the world, the human freight train that is LeBron James, you have to keep Roy Hibbert in the game and with at least 1 foot in the lane. Now, maybe I can give him a slight pass on the first one with 11 seconds left. Maybe you say Bosh could hurt you there. But Stephen A., you know and I know, 2.2 seconds left. What are the odds that LeBron is going to be able to find a Chris Bosh camped 18 or 20 feet away from the basket, trying to pull somebody out of the lane, find him, and that Chris can get off a shot that's not rushed to win the game? I don't think it's possible. I think that's a strategic blunder on the part of the head coach, who was pretty cocky before this all started, said they're just another team that's in our way, and did say, we heard him say during one of the timeouts to his team, I told you guys at film the other day, in the film session, we're going to win this game. So I got to put it on the coach for not being able to win the game. And I also want to bring up one other point, Stephen A., and get your thoughts on this. Roy Hibbert, in the live interview after the game that I saw on TNT, suggested that he got pulled in part on performance as well as strategy, because he did mention that Birdman early in overtime had gone up over him for a key offensive rebound, and that Chris Bosh with 50 seconds left really went up over and threw him for an offensive rebound and a putback and an and one that tied the game. So Hibbert was suggesting, he said, I got to be tougher late in games, have more toughness late in games. Do you think it's at all possible he just got yanked on performance?
Well, it's possible because Frank Vogel clearly wasn't pleased with those two plays. There's no doubt about that. You can see how demonstrative he was on the sidelines when it had actually transpired. And Roy Hibbert obviously knew he could have done a better job. There's no doubt about that. But you don't have time to think about that. In those kind of situations, even though you try to lean on how guys are performing, at the same time, you lean on your best situations. What's going to propel you to victory in a particular situation. And I can't believe that a 7'2" dude that's played solidly throughout these playoffs because of a couple of bad plays late in the game that the coach is going to turn around and say, well, I'm going to punish you by putting you on the bench in the most pivotal situation imaginable. If there's an indictable offense against Frank Vogel, it would be the fact that he pulled Roy Hibbert twice, not just one.
That's correct.
The fact that LeBron James scored on 2 layups as opposed to 1 is where he's in trouble in terms of the shrapnel of criticism that's going to come in his direction. If it had happened one time, it would be different. But the fact that it happened twice is why everybody's looking at Frank Vogel right now and saying, what in God's name were you thinking about?
Right.
That's where we are.
And Stephen A., I know I don't have to remind you of what happened with 8:25 left in that closeout game for the Pacers against your Knicks when Carmelo went to dunk to give them a lead, 8:25 remaining. Remember that?
5.
And he met Roy Hibbert's hand.
Yeah, it was about 5 minutes left.
Yeah. I got 8:25.
It was about 5 minutes left. It was about 5 minutes. Yeah, it was about 5 minutes left in the game. And Carmelo Anthony, and I actually asked Roy Hibbert about that. Don't worry about it, Skip. Don't worry about it. I got you. The thing is that I actually asked Roy Hibbert about it before last night's game.
Yeah.
And he and I were talking on the court before the game, and he said, well, what had happened was he understood and he anticipated that Carmelo was going to do that because he said earlier in the series, Carmelo had caught him. He had gotten someplace late in recovery, and Carmelo had dunked on him. So he knew that Carmelo was happy, and Carmelo was going to try it again, thinking he could catch him again. He said that time he was waiting for it. Wish that was the case last night, but he wasn't in the game to wait for anybody.
There you go.
Gentlemen, to your point, Hibbert said to some reporters in the locker room afterward that he knows as he gets older, he may have to ask to stay in the game because he felt he could have blocked LeBron's shots, but in the end, he trusts his coach. Let's talk more about this game. Coming up next,